It's another edition of Time About the Movies, and today we're taking a look at the films of June 8th, 2001. We got three movies to look at today, three very interesting movies of notable variances. Some of them were very interesting little experiments, some of them were obvious knockoffs of much better movies, but there was one that came out that we're going to look at first off. That was the big hit of the weekend, and mainly it was because of one particular reason that we'll eventually get into here, but let's talk about that movie, and that is John Travolta, Hugh Jackman, Halle Berry, and Don Cheadle in Swordfish.
Crackers in the world can do this in 60 minutes. I need someone who can do it in 60 seconds. Go!
Critics are saying Swordfish, the French Connection meets the Matrix. Prepare to be blown to the back of the theater. A high-impact, high-energy, high-tech thriller that takes no prisoners. If it were any hotter, you'd burst into flames. The password is electrifying.
Oh, yeah.
Swordfish, rated R. Starts this Friday.
So the story of Swordfish is that you have this ex-con and computer hacker played by Hugh Jackman who's targeted for recruitment into a bank robber conspiracy because of his formidable hacking skills. The guy behind it is John Travolta, and then you have him working with not just Hugh Jackman, Halle Berry and Don Cheadle. You also have Vinnie Jones, Sam Shepard in here as well. And, for John Travolta, at least it was a nice little career bounce for him after Battlefield Earth the year before. This was actually directed by somebody who also directed a movie in the 2000 summer season, Gone in 60 Seconds, Dominic Sena, who also gave us California. But, let's be honest here, people. If you know this movie as much as I do, there was only one real reason to watch this movie, and that was mostly because of, Halle Berry, and the fact that, A, she gets naked in this, and B, she's wearing skinny lingerie. That's pretty much all I remember about this movie. I think that's pretty much what anybody remembers from this movie, because every time you think Swordfish, and you talk to somebody who remembers when this movie came out, they all said the same thing. It's just like, Halle Berry knew, and it's literally, I'm reading the thing here on Wikipedia, and they literally tell you exactly what I just told you. So, Swordfish received early press coverage because word leaked out that Halle Berry was doing her first topless scene. She was paid an extra $500,000 on top of her $2 million fee, which, $2 million seems pretty low for her back then, but then again, this was just before she won her Oscar for Monsters Ball, but, I don't know, that still seems really low, but I digress. But, critics said the scene looked forced, and let's be honest, it was. I'm not even going to sugarcoat it. It really was. If you saw the movie, you definitely could tell that they just forced it on you. I mean, she's literally reading something, and then she takes the thing down. It's just like, oh, there's her boobs. It's just like it doesn't even try to be convenient to be smart about that or slick whatsoever. It's just like, here they are, and that's pretty much it. Like I said, critics said the scene looked forced just to garner press. Halle Berry literally jumped to the top of search engine results. And Berry said she did the topless scene knowing it was gratuitous to overcome the fear of appearing nude on screen, which, like I said, man, it eventually worked out in her favor in the end of the year because she later got the Oscar for Monsters Ball. Her career pretty much took off pretty much at this point, and, more power to her, man, but still, I still feel like that $2 million fee seems like a really low amount for her back then, but I don't know, other than that, though, the movie itself really is not that great. It's got some style to it. I mean, it does try to do something a little bit unique and different, kind of like a mix between Gone in 60 Seconds and The Matrix, but it never really reaches that level to something where it could be like a so bad it's good type of movie. And if you really want to see those nude scenes with Barry, you can just go online and just find them easily. There's no reason to look for this movie anywhere because there's nothing in the film that really makes it special except for that particular moment. Like, the plot doesn't make a whole lot of sense. The logic of it doesn't make a whole lot of sense. The film overall is it's just a film that really feels like it was basically a cover-up to just have that one scene in there with Halle Berry in there because nobody else really contributes anything unique or interesting about this. And, I guess it kind of worked because it did end up making the film become a profitable success. I mean, it made over $147 million worldwide, which, considering the budget was $102 million, it's not really that great overall, but at least did something, at least accomplished what it was trying to do. But as far as the film itself goes, it's definitely one of those movies that's just kind of like, you really do not need to see this. If you really want to see the best thing about the movie, just go online and find it. You could find it so easily. It's just like, There's no reason to watch this movie except for that, and even then, you watch it, you can just go online and find those clips online. It's so much easier to just do that than waste your time with this movie. Speaking of movies that you'd probably be better off watching better movies with instead of wasting your time with it, here's Ivan Reitman trying to recreate Ghostbusters with Evolution.
Coming. Awesome! To wipe that silly smile off your planet. Big ones. Any ideas? Little ones.
Snag one.
Snag one?
Yeah, snag one and put him in the bucket.
I seen this movie. The black dude dies first. You snag it.
Nasty ones.
Woo! Get this thing out of
It's gonna be
here!
okay, Harry.
We might have to amputate. Whoa, stop! Don't take the leg!
Sitting for scotch.
Dang it, take the leg!
Is there some sort of alien attack happening here?
Is this kind of thing the government usually gets involved in? Shouldn't we tell them?
Absolutely not. I know those people.
David Duchovny, Orlando Jones, Sean William Scott, and Julianne Moore.
It was so hot.
From Ivan Reitman, the director of Ghostbusters, Evolution.
What in the unholy crimson heck is that? That's like a big loogie.
Rated PG-13. Starts Friday, June 8th, everywhere.
I mean, let's just be honest. This was the original remake of Ghostbusters before we got the 2016 remake. And you know what? That 2016 remake does a lot better than this movie does because, man, this thing doesn't even hide the fact that it's trying to be the new Ghostbusters for the 21st century. Basically, you have a story where you have a college professor, played by David Duchovny, and a geologist, played by Orlando Jones, who investigate a meteor crash in Arizona. They discover the meteor is harboring extraterrestrial life, which is evolving very quickly into large, diverse, and outlandish creatures. Sean William Scott and Julianne Moore also join in on this, as well as Dan Aykroyd, and also Ethan Suplee, My Name is Earl. So, yeah, this is another movie that also reminds you of another popular film around that time, and that is, of course, Men in Black. And this was also kind of a time when Ivan Reitman was in the midst of a directorial drought. I mean, the man that once gave us comedy classics like, Stripes, Ghostbusters, Twins, Kindergarten Cop, Dave, was kind of in the middle of giving us not very good films. Junior, Father's Day, even something like My Super Ex-Girlfriend, which I defended before on this show, but I'll even admit it's not his best material. But I guess it's really not as bad as some of his works that he was making around this time period. This movie really was that one that Reitman was desperate to try to get another franchise out of the studio for Dreamworks. They were betting everything on this to make this the next big franchise. They literally had a cartoon series ready to go, thinking that this was going to be the blockbuster hit that they're expecting this to be. They didn't even wait for the movie to be successful before they greenlit the series. I mean, at least with Godzilla at least is a name brand. Like, even if the 98 movie bombed at the box office, which it did, Godzilla is still a name brand, and you can still market it off of that. There was no way you're going to market something off of Evolution. Like, they greenlit that before they even saw the movie. That's how confident they were that this was going to sell. And what a shocker, it didn't. The movie bombed hard at the box office, only making $38 million in America alone on an $80 million budget. And you can make the argument that the money made back internationally was more than enough to carry over the budget overall, which, yeah, I guess you could say that. But for a potential new franchise, that's still pretty bad. But, and DreamWorks didn't really need that because they just had Shrek come out a few weeks prior, which went on to become the big hit of the summer. So they could basically just sweep the failure of Evolution under the rug. But, as far as the movie itself goes, it's pretty bad. I mean, yeah, I'm going to bring up Ghostbusters a lot because it does take a lot from Ghostbusters. It's the ultimate form of a Ghostbusters ripoff. First off, let's copy the same chemistry from Ghostbusters with the four leads here, but they just don't have it. David Duchovny and Orlando Jones, you could buy these two would be friends, but you throw in Sean William Scott, who is basically just Stifler from American Pie in this, and to be that character that the team can relate to. Oh, and you have Julianne Moore, which, for some reason, the trailers make such a big deal of the fact that she's an Academy Award nominee. Not a winner, a nominee. And it's like, hey, we've got this Oscar nominee in here. Yeah, she's gotten Oscar nominations for stuff like Boogie Nights and The End of the Affair. But you don't really need to do this anymore. Like, you did The Lost World Jurassic Park 5 years ago, and look how bad that turned out. She's basically playing the scientist who's basically the female love interest for Duchovny's character, and you can't buy into their chemistry at all. They even had tie-ins to Ghostbusters. Like I said, Dan Aykroyd is in here to be the mayor of the town that's being attacked. It's like they weren't even trying. And yeah, sometimes the monsters can look pretty cool. They look impressive every once in a while. But like I said before, great visuals don't make a great movie. It basically shows that they clearly did not give a crap and wanted to showcase how impressive the visuals are. You don't even know what to do because, yeah, you've got your aliens, but there's also dragon aliens. There's also blue monkey aliens that just like, what's the point? Like, really, what's the point of all this? It's just like, and they go for and the comedy in here really is bad. I mean, it's really bad. They go for, like, cheap, gross out humor for no reason whatsoever, just to kill the, like, the thing that, down to the thing that kills the aliens. Like, the only thing that could kill the aliens is Head and Shoulders, which, yeah, it turns out Duchovny's character believes that selenium might be poisonous to the aliens since they're nitrogen-based. And also because, arsenic is poisonous to Earth's carbon life, and one of the active ingredients in Head and Shoulders is selenium sulfide. And, it's not the intelligent scientist, but the two dim-witted students in Duchovny's class, one of them played by Ethan Suplee, who figures it out, which, at the time, I was just kind of like, that's a little bit much for me to buy, but the more I think about it, I think that's actually pretty clever, that it's the two dimwits that actually know more than the scientists do. Like, I'll give them a lot of credit for that one, but, nope, they still managed to fit. And I also like the idea that Head and Shoulders kills the aliens. Like, I feel like, at the time, I thought it was laziness. Like, I thought there was something like, the water that kills the aliens in science. But then again, it's a clever idea, but it's mostly just product placement. And it's not really good product placement. I was willing to give them credit for that, but no. If that wasn't enough to insult the intelligence of the audience alone, guess how the aliens are defeated in the end? Not just by Head and Shoulders. No. This is a 2000s PG-13, so you know what we gotta do? We gotta stuff the Head and Shoulders shampoo up the alien's ass. At that point, I'm not even joking, they stuff the shit inside the alien's ass, and that defeats it. It's just like, at that point, I was just kind of like, I'm done. Screw this movie, man. Like, at that point, like, I was willing to buy the idea of Head and Shoulders the more I thought about it as the thing that kills the aliens, because I think that's a clever idea, but just going for the most ridiculous body humor jokes, like, gross out jokes like that, it's just like, no, like, that's crossing the line for me. Like, this is not only bad as it not only fails as a Ghostbusters ripoff, it fails as a straight up comedy, period. It's a movie that fails as a movie, fails on all levels. Nothing about it is redeemable whatsoever. It tries way too hard to create a franchise, but there's no chemistry between any of the leads. Excuse me. And there's no chemistry between me getting that out of my mouth. But anyway, where was I? Oh, yeah. There's no interesting story involved. I mean, there's no good twists and turns. There's absolutely nothing of value for this that's worthy of watching. I mean, this is the real terrible Ghostbusters remake. Like, Ghostbusters 2016 is like Citizen Kane compared to this movie. I mean, this is a bad, bad film that just does not hold up by any means necessary. And you can see the good ideas. There is some potential there, but no, they just wanted to create the next Ghostbusters, and it just failed miserably. So, yeah. Not much more to say about that one. Actually, before we move on to the next movie, I found some more research down here about Evolution. Turns out this movie was originally intended to be a straight-up horror movie. It was originally written by a guy named Don Jacoby, and the plan was that this was in development all the way back in 1998, and he envisioned this as a serious science fiction horror thriller described as humorless and violent. The Thing meets the Andromeda Strain, envisioning John Carpenter to direct the film. And Ivan Reitman basically said he likes the script, but he wanted to do it as a comedy, as a modern-day successor to Ghostbusters that he always planned to make. And that's literally how this movie became this Evolution. It started off as a horror movie, a straight-up horror film, and then it became a comedy, and not a really good comedy, so I think that pretty much explains everything that you need to know about how bad this movie was. Basically, the whole idea of this wacky comedy starting off as a straight-up horror film. Yeah. I don't think I need to say too much more about that one. So let's just go ahead and move on to our last movie here. And it's probably the most well-known film that came out this weekend, and one that has the lasting legacy to it. And that is, of course, Disney's Atlantis: The Lost Empire. So Atlantis, The Lost Empire is the first science fiction film in Disney's animated classics canon, and basically you tell the story of a young man, voiced by Michael J. Fox, who gains possession of a sacred book, which he believes will guide him and the crew to the lost city of Atlantis. The crew including such voice actors as James Garner, Leonard Nimoy. The cast in general includes Cree Summer, Don Novello, Phil Morris, Claudia Christian, Jacqueline Oberdors, Jim Varney in his last film before he died. This is a film that was very, very interesting because at this time the animated movie success factor was going more into the line of CG animated films rather than the 2D animated movies that began, of course, with what Disney did with The Little Mermaid 12 years prior. Atlantis tried to blend the two factors into one. You have 2D animation mixed in with CG, more so to keep up with competing studios. And with that, the movie does look impressive. And you can tell, the shots in this movie look very good. The city of Atlantis looks pretty cool. The blending of both CG and 2D animation works pretty well, too. And the cast overall, I think, does a very good job in here. I think they really are really good films. I mean, it sounds like they had a winner here, but how can it go wrong? Well, it doesn't help that the overall story is, which is a good story and something very different from what Disney usually does, unfortunately falls into very predictable territory. I mean, despite a script that includes such notable names as Joss Whedon, Gary Trousdale, Kirk Wise, and Tab Murphy. Tab Murphy, of course, wrote a number of different movies, including Gorillas in the Mist, and he also was the writer on Hunchback of Notre Dame. It's unfortunate that the script really does fall into very predictable territory. It turns out the main bad guys, guess what they're doing this for? The money. And it's just like, it's the same thing that happened in Tarzan. It makes even less sense here than in Tarzan because you're pretty much already going to get paid for proof that this place existed. So why are you holding the city hostage and taking this crystal up to the surface? Oh, I'm sorry, because we don't have a movie to begin with. But yeah, the villain really is not that great in this, but he does have a really badass death scene in this, and it is really grisly too. Like I was watching this movie again not too long ago, and it's just like, okay, this movie kind of holds up. So on that front there, at least it has a cool ass villain death. So I guess I got to give it that. But part of the problem with the movie is that it does get a little bit too predictable for its own good. It's trying way too hard to be formulaic while also trying to be something new and groundbreaking at the same time. And you can't really do that. You have to pick one or the other. Like you have to, or else you get something like what we had with The Creator last year. A movie that definitely was trying to be something new and creative, but falls into a plot we've seen done over and over again. Like, if you're gonna do something new and groundbreaking, go all the way with it. Don't just be half and half. Like, give us something new that we haven't seen done before. This is a film that's a perfect example of a style over substance movie. It looks incredible on its own merits, still holds up after over 20 years, but it just can't get past a lousy script. I mean, it does have a lot of great animation, and there are things about it that are worth admiring, but for me personally, it's not one of Disney's finer films. I mean, it has its moments, but it fails because of a predictable script and a pretty mediocre ending when you really consider everything that happened before that. But, I mean, for what it is, it's fine, but you can definitely tell that there was much more that should have gone into it to make this a great film, but sadly it's not. I mean, it's a film that has a lot of high ambitions to it, but just not the perfect execution when it's all said and done, so unfortunately, a very mixed opinion on Atlantis, The Lost Empire, at least for me. And so, with that said, we wrap up another edition of Time About the Movies. We'll take a look at 2 more movies on the next episode, including Lara Croft Tomb Raider, which is based off the video game series starring Angelina Jolie, and also Sexy Beast. So we'll take a look at both of those movies on the next episode. But until then, thank you so much for watching, and if you want to see more videos like this, please hit the playlist on the next page, check out the previous episode, and also don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button if you want to see more videos like this on this channel. So with that said, I am off. I will see you guys next time, and until then, as always, take care.